Hello everybody, we're on board an aeroplane. We're flying to Sydney, from Sydney to Honolulu, where we'll be spending 4 days, then to Seattle, then to Florida, etc., etc. We're basically on the first leg of our 2023 US trip, which will culminate at Expo West in Arizona, late May. See you there? Whenever I land on the shores of America, I just get this buzz. I love being in America. I love coming to the place. So this then is our adventure in the United States in 2023. It's not about four-wheel driving, although we do climb in a few four-wheel drives and go driving in some remote areas. This is a hard-won campsite. And we also go overlanding in a boat. But it's mostly about Gwyn and me having fun.
Exciting.
With close friends in the US.
Just to die for, doll.
To die for. I mean, it's nice. Gwynnie.
Journey.
We're having an American breakfast.
We are. What are you going to have? An English breakfast in an American restaurant?
Probably.
Or are you actually going to do the whole American thing?
And have pudding for breakfast.
And have pudding for breakfast.
Pudding for breakfast sounds amazing.
Andrew and I are with friends, Jeremy, James, and his wife Ange, and we're in Hawaii. And we've stopped at the side of the road because this is where they filmed the Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World and all the Jurassic dinosaur movies. And our kids are absolutely obsessed. So we've stopped to get some images so we can show them that we actually were here.
Hawaii, including the island of Oahu, are all very hilly, which means there are plenty of great locations to get a great view. The island is small. You can get around it inside a day. But the 3 days we've given ourselves, I think, is probably not going to be enough.
This is just amazing. For context, we have to show you our pathos growing at home and then what they can do in the wild. It's just, I've got to film it and I've got to send it to Stephanie because she and I do this whole gardening thing together, and this is like, my heart is going 1,000,000 to 1.
Think about our time at point two. Everything was so young. Spent our summer howling at the...
Look at the size of this leaf. It's just magnificent. Could use it for an umbrella. Just love it.
On this trip, Gwyn has been given the job of Instagram content.
Instagram, here we go.
Yeah, it's in perfect focus. Hold it there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Eh? See city in the background. See if I can move it around like this and get the city in the background like this. And I can do a focus pull on you. See, and then focus pull onto the city. Ta-da! Pretty good, eh? How you like that?
There's a surf clothing shop in Honolulu, not far from Honolulu. And up there is a live camera feed from a surfing beach close by. Hawaii boasts the highest concentration of surf shops on the planet. There are, on average, 47 of them per square mile.
Isn't it beautiful? Just to give you a bit of an idea of what Honolulu looks like, it kind of Honolulu and Waikiki Beach and what have you. We're kind of above the city looking down. Gives you just some indication of what it's all about.
Our rental is a Nissan Pathfinder. It's worth a mention. Not a bad looking machine actually from the back. It's actually quite a nice machine from the back. It's got quite a good look about it actually from the back. From the front though, this is where things fall apart because it's dismal from the part. And my impression of the car is that you don't sit on the seats, you sit in the seats. The driving position is incredibly low, even though it's a tall SUV. You're driving in the same stance as you would in a saloon car, so it's very, very low. And the ride is abysmal.
And rolling.
Don't be fooled by the Nissan Pathfinder's rear end, which is really quite handsome. From this point, this vehicle is one of the most mundane, dull, uninteresting vehicles that I might have ever driven in the last 10 years. It's supposed to be a luxury SUV when no, the ride is so bad that it can in no way be called a luxury vehicle.
To prove that Andrew has actually been to Hawaii, he's now got to go and take his shoes off and put his feet into the Pacific Ocean. I've already done it. So yeah, it's compulsory. And got to say, this is the first time that my feet, and I think his, have touched the Pacific.
No.
Have you? Not you?
No, when I was in New South Wales,
Ah, right.
when I did my Australia crossing in 2018, I did that in
You went to Byron Bay.
Byron Bay. I was Byron Bay, yes it was. Very warm.
And being at the equator, there's no tide. No high tide, low tide. So, I mean, this is the beach. This is it. You don't need a run up.
So that's high tide, and that's low tide.
Yeah, pretty much. What do they call this? The north face, or the north beach, or the north, wherever they come to do the surfing. Shows how much I know about it. But anyway, that's where we are in Hawaii.
This is Waimea Bay, one of the most iconic big wave locations in all of Hawaii. And we're on Oahu on the North Shore, and this is Greg Knoll, Jerry Lopez, all the greats have surfed here, and some of the most iconic footage ever in Hawaii.
So that's the biggest wave in the world. That. Right. Thank you for being our guide for the day.
The locals love coming here when it's flat. There's rocks to jump off of, and it's just a beautiful place to swim. But yeah, when the North Swell comes through, it changes everything. And it's world class and known around the world for one of the biggest waves that every surfer has to come check out for. So welcome to my Waimea Bay.
Gwen is, I don't want to use a too strong a word for it, obsessed with chickens.
And while I don't really share her fondness for chickens, we do share an appreciation, affection, affinity, attraction, passion, love if you like, for trees.
There's another one. It's one tree.
The plant life, but more especially the trees, are extraordinary. That is called a banyan tree. That is one tree. From several of the lookout points on the island, one can see the naval base of Pearl Harbor. And I've been wanting to go to Pearl Harbor since I was a very, very young lad. But we're doing something this morning that I have been looking forward to do, and I am not exaggerating, since I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. I grew up in England, and I grew up, I'm a baby boomer, which means that a lot of my childhood was spent learning about the Second World War. Because it had just happened not long before my parents decided to get married and have kids. And I remember that all the TV shows and documentaries about the Second World War. Even today, I'm still fascinated with it, and fascinated with the Japanese conflict. Just finished reading a book about it. And so here, obviously, Pearl Harbor was almost the epicenter, well, certainly the start, of the Japanese conflict in World War II with the United States of America. So I'm going to the Pearl Harbor Museum.
This is Andrew's passion, his number one passion. If he could have turned this into a career, he would have. And in fact, there was a time when he wanted to go into the Royal Navy, and he would have ended up doing who knows what, and I would never have met him. So here we are instead at the Missouri in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and if you could see him, I should actually be filming him filming me, because he is smiling so broadly to be on this incredible battleship.
Had I fulfilled my dream and joined the Royal Navy, I would have gone into it as a helicopter pilot, and given the timing, I would have been active during the Falklands War. And if I think back at the dangers of wartime and what eventually happened, marrying Gwyn, yeah, I think I might have been safer during the Falklands War, actually.
Wicked,
I didn't say anything.
wicked, wicked.
We are leaving Hawaii now. We're off to Seattle for a short break, and then we have something very, very special to offer you. What kind of world do we live in? We have to drop your own tailgate.
Action. Magical. Terrifying. Go for the eyes.
And it's a happy welcome to you all with Gwyn and I in the United States of America. This episode, well, last week it was in Hawaii. This week we're in Florida. And we begin with our friend Bob, and we're exploring the Everglades.
So, it's about messing about in boats today. Bob's paid the alligators off. He's given, I think it was a 2-hour slot he's paid them for, because we haven't had a really good shot of an alligator yet. So he got hold of the agents and said to them, you make sure your boys are on the bank, and he slipped them something, and we'll see if it works in alligator world the way it works in human world, that you can, pay them off and they do what you want. Remember, go for the eyes. That's if an alligator comes.
If the alligator comes, okay. Hold on, I want to see how.
Yeah, make sure it supports your weight.
It does support my weight. Quite soft, but it supports my weight. Okay. You might be asking, why, Andrew, are you getting in the water? Well, the truth is that I wanted to get some shots of the boat going past me. It's very difficult filming a car or boat or anything that you're in while you're in it. So I had to get out of it so I could see what it looked like out of it. So I'm actually doing it for you guys. How do you like that? Is that a good shot? The ground is quite soft. I can see small fishes. I don't know if you can see them. You probably can't. Lots of fishes. There's so much life here. There's just life everywhere you look. There's life. A bit difficult to walk on this because it's sandy, but it's also soft in places. And there you go. Brilliant. That was fun. Oh, my ride. Come to collect me. I thought you were never going to come back. You've been gone at least 30, 40 seconds. That was fun. There were thousands of Amazonian alligators, all trying to get to me, and I was fighting them off with my GoPro. This, you can see the scars. Look, there. There's a big tooth mark there. See? That's my Discovery Channel version.
Okay.
It's almost impossible to get away from aircraft sound in the world today. There's very few places in the world, no matter how remote they are, that you won't hear a high-flying jet. So it's difficult to get the soundtrack, the pure natural soundtrack. It's very difficult.
I gotta turn around here.
Oh, okay.
It's too narrow.
Yeah.
The normal way to see the Everglades is with an airboat, where you share an hour or two with 11 other screaming people. It's just not our scene. So instead we are doing it the exact opposite.
Just watch for spider webs. I've always gotten them, but I'll take you in up underneath that branch and then back out.
Asking an Australian to watch out for spider webs is like, I wish I could find a good metaphor for this, but there is one out there somewhere.
It's a bit like suggesting to a Norwegian person to be careful of the snow.
Spiders in Australia?
Yes, poison.
Everywhere.
White on rice.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. No continent is even close to Australia when it comes to the number of spiders. What is this thing?
Okay.
I'm doing a very delicate shot here. I need.
The Everglades lie on a tropical latitude, and the plant life is extraordinary. Here, plants find comfortable living on other plants, and on them, other plants find a comfortable living on them. Bob has lived near the Everglades most of his life and knows a little bit about alligators and, I hope, fishing.
Alligator slide. They're occasionally along the river on both sides, and that's what they use on a regular basis, like US 1 for cars. That's what they use to come and go in the river here. You always know where they enter and exit.
It was then that Bob suggested we might throw in a line.
No, when I was a little boy, up to the age of about 15, I was obsessed with fishing, absolutely obsessed. And the one fish that I wanted to catch, above all other fish, was a tarpon. And this river has got tarpon in it. They're not monsters because it's the river, the monsters are out in the bay. But still, they're tarpon. So I'm about to catch a tarpon.
This is why we don't have a fishing channel. It's an off-roading channel.
Strictly speaking, where we have been enjoying our day is not the Everglades itself, but 100 or so miles north of it. We now enter the Everglades proper.
What I love about this alligator, sorry, I'm sorry, I've just got it, true confession time. I'm in my worst possible environment. It's got nothing to do with the alligator and the man's hand falling into the alligator's mouth and the blood spurting. It's got nothing to do with that. It's to do with these locusts. I'm terrified of
Harmless
locusts.
little grasshoppers.
No.
Yes, what were you saying about this guy here?
They're climbing up the post and they're all over everywhere.
Apart from the bullet hole.
Yes, you see some bright spark. He's got his hand.
Your first wildlife experience in the Everglades is a creepy little locust. I was going to say grasshopper, trying to climb your legs.
I'll go for the alligator any day.
First similarity.
The sound. Aircraft.
Light aircraft.
Yeah. In the Okavango, because everything in the Okavango is serviced by air, can't drive into it. You've got the sound of light aircraft, Cessnas, now caravans, all the time. And it's just amazing to step out the vehicle and hear that. The similarities are marked. The water level's very low. And they have had a drought, so areas where Bob said we should be seeing water, we're not. But I kept thinking, elephant around the corner? No, of course not.
1991, Gwen and I spent a whole year isolated in the Okavango, where we wrote our best-selling adventure travel memoir, Torn Trousers. There is a place so tranquil that angels go there to rest. It is a place of such singular beauty, even the lilies dress for dinner. Yet the ebb and flow of its life-giving water is determined by a climate 1,000 miles away. The water level is high during times of drought and low in times of rain. At its heart, a river that seeks the sea but never finds it. This was where my heart lay, in the Okavango Delta in northern Botswana. This part of our guided tour is courtesy of our new friend Duffy in his retired US Army Dodge, where Gun and I cannot help ourselves but find so many similarities with the Okavango. Palm Tree Island right there. Gun and I spent an entire year looking at one palm tree island in the Okavango. We would come down for our meal, sit down around the fire, and there was the island. And there it is again. Look how similar that is to that island that we spent a year with.
Magical.
Come from around the world, burners come to Turner River Road. I don't know what we'll see. I'll show you a road. Called a whitetail.
Yeah, is that because the gazelle, they tuck their tails in when they run?
Right. Whitetail, let's go to whitetail deer.
So, what do you do for your day job?
This truck is a...
The 1942 CCKW, which is a General Motors GMC 2.5 ton 6x6. And this is what moved the United States and our allies' equipment and men around the world. This chassis, this happens to be a troop carrier that is also a light duty dump truck, but it could have been a fuel truck, it could have been a hospital, mobile hospital, it could have been a crane on top of the chassis. It's got 6 forward, 1 reverse, high and low gear, and in and out of 6-wheel drive. Otherwise it's just 4-wheel drive. This was left over in Europe after the war and given back and used during Reconstruction and redone by the Dutch, hence all the instruction sheets on the inside are in Dutch. Now, the black mangrove takes and admits the salt out of the leaves. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it is salty. And you can see the difference in the black mangrove leaves from the red mangrove. And they have aerial roots that come down and keep growing. Again, look at the roots. Look at they catch debris, which helps build the islands.
We have spent the day exploring the Everglades and approached it from the north, and now been taken on a guided tour. And the first thing that struck me is that anybody that compares the Okavango, as we are doing, with the Everglades shouldn't. Because while some of the vistas and some of the horizon, the shapes, even the shapes of some of the trees is similar at times, the ecosystem, they are utterly different. To begin with, the Everglades is tidal, and its ecosystem relies on the survival of its mangroves.
This is a shell mound from, I call it prehistoric man, you can call it whatever. I believe it was the Calusas. And for what I understand, this species of clam no longer exists down here. That's why we know that it's that old. Thousands of years old, 5 to 10, I would say. But as you can see, they're all over here and they're nowhere else. So this was a
shell mound made by man. Man has been here for thousands of years. We saw the shells, and now we see probably a 6-cylinder internal combustion engine out of a boat that crashed here, and that's been here, wow, that's got to be 40, 50 years, dumped here probably in a hurricane. More sign of man.
Have been extraordinarily lucky. This is not the way your average tourist experiences the Everglades. We've been put up in one of the very few private homes inside the Everglades. In the Okavango, high-paying guests. There is no inexpensive way of enjoying the Okavango. There is part of it that is accessible by car. Here, lots of it is accessible by car, but only through the arterial routes. From there, none of it is accessible by car, because there are no tracks and no roads. And of course the water prevents access by ordinary vehicles.
But not by extraordinary vehicles, as Duffy will now explain.
This is a swamp buggy for going through the swamp, and so you don't use this in super deep water, but you might get holes that go down in the 2-3 foot range, but you're not going to go through a canal with this.
No.
And we're not going through lakes. And if a slough with the really deep cypress deep things, it may get to where it's this deep, and no, you wouldn't do that. But you can see by the flora, the trees, what the terrain's going to be like, and you go try to drive in the area that you're not going to sink. They're all different. They're handmade. Everything's made. Got coming into your transmission. Looks here like we have a the gearbox where we can put it into high and low range.
Transfer box.
Your transfer box. Some are automatic. Some are stick. This is a stick. What else? Question.
It's made from parts. Because man has had a much bigger influence over the Everglades when compared to the Okavango, it is even more strictly controlled to prevent further damage to the wilderness, and there are lots and lots of programs to restore the Everglades, despite the fact that there are these arterial routes cutting it into sections and restricting the flow of water and restricting the movement of animals. So lots being done and controls being tightened over the last several decades. The Okavango is similar in that tightly controlled, because these pristine wildernesses, because they're so wonderful, are subject to being taken over and being exploited. And these restrictions, while us as adventure travelers would say, oh, it's so sad that that the restrictions have to be put in. It's absolutely necessary, because we have to think about the protection of wilderness areas, and this is just another one. So we've been very, very lucky to enjoy it the way we have.
And I highly recommend that people consider the state parks as opposed to the national, because people hear about the national, but there's some real gems. I've camped out in real primitive sites with no water, no table, no outhouse. You're probably not supposed to be, but I mean, heck yes, but you could drive there in your Cadillac. You don't have to have four-wheel drive, but you could take your type of camper thing, drive up, open up, and then you could walk and experience the Everglades thing. And I would highly recommend state parks, little ones around the different parts of Florida. They offer. And will you see people? We've gone to places and been there for 2 nights and seen no one. Others you might see 1 or 2.
That's what I'm talking about.
It just depends, because how difficult has it to get there, what's the temperature, what's the bug situation, and who's going to put up with that. That's it. And how many people really want to do this.
Good answer. As we conclude our visits to the Everglades, we'd like to thank Bob and Duffy for their hospitality as we leave the best of Florida for last.
Okay, there's a third one further back. We put 56 feet tall and 45 minutes to open the door.
A guided tour around what is the most impressive aerospace museum of them all. And for me personally, the most impressive museum I have ever experienced. This, for example, is the actual gangway that the Apollo astronauts walked on their way to the command module before setting off for the moon.
Michael Collins, Buzz Aldrin, and Neil Armstrong walked on this gantry-way to get inside the Apollo 11 rocket.
Of course, this is the Apollo capsule. It reminds me of the seat on an average Qantas flight.
They had more space
Than what?
than the average Qantas flight.
Oh, far more space. Look,
They
they
don't
can...
have to remove the magazines to get their knees to fit. Standing underneath the shuttle. It's just incredible. Come through a presentation where you learn all about it, and then they lift the screen and here it is. It's just awe-inspiring. Amazing.
And as part of it, we got to meet an astronaut with 3 shuttle missions to his credit.
Oh, excellent.
I'd like to get some nuggets of truth from you about risk management. It's obviously risky what you do, but you manage it.
Yeah, I mean, risk management, you know, is always, and I've spent my whole career basically in risk management, flight test safety, safety risk assessments for flight tests. That's what we do.
And we, like a million other people, also got to touch a piece of moon rock. Sort of heads-up display. But the 2 exhibits that had the strongest impression on me were the command module capsule from Apollo 14. Like the shuttle, it's the real thing. It's been through re-entry. And this seemingly innocuous lump of metal, it is in fact the original Apollo 11 launch pad and for some reason, it's destined for demolition.
And of course we went shopping. Best part. No, not really. That's so shallow. Deep as a teaspoon. But man, we've got some cool stuff in here.
We leave Florida tomorrow morning early. We're going to finish our trip with a little bit of spin casting off the jetty here. I want to say thank you to everybody in Florida who you guys have made our trip memorable. In fact, made Florida memorable. I have, I visited the States now. This must be about, I haven't counted, probably my 8th visit. And I have favorite places. This part of Florida is one of my favorite places. So I hope we can catch something, because I just see fish all around us, movement in the water all around us. And, well, next stop, we'll probably do some more exploring of Seattle before Gwyn and I head into Canada.
And the surroundings, I mean, just so stunning.
Pretty amazing.
We go out for a beer, it's so clear when you're here, but we never get near enough. We drink and we dance, you don't give it a chance. Is it really romance you feel? When you're around, we both try to pretend you're just a guy, and I am just your friend. What if all of my love is yours? What if you were the one I
Actually, it's the best reason for coming to the United States of America. Welcome to the USA. Gwyn, Jeremy and I are taking a road trip. In a camper, towing a boat. The reason why a camper and why a boat will be self-evident in the days to come. But why our special guest had to tag along,
I think they're pushing the concept of wild camping.
I haven't figured out yet.
Brought to you by Drive Anywhere.
Hello from an absolutely idyllic, superb, this is the perfect campsite. Nobody else around, and just this extraordinary scenery around us. This is a hard-won campsite because we found the distances on the day, during every day, quite trying, and finding remote places is tough. In the US, it's tough. This reward. Look at this place. It's like, where do you get salt flat, mountains, snow on them? Probably in Bolivia. How we got here is a 10-day story that I'm about to tell you. But first, meet our good friend Heiner. He's just arrived from Australia, and after a generous cavity search, has arrived in the USA for the first time.
What does it taste like?
Like Stella.
Welcome to American beer.
It's an international thing.
And of course, you know Jeremy.
You could go very American and go chicken gizzards.
What is chicken gizzards?
Okay.
Literally the gizzards of a chicken deep fry.
What are gizzards?
It's the thing that digests the stones in chickens' throats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an organ.
Oh, all right. Maybe go a little bit less.
Yeah, we won't do. I would never order them anyway. You have those Mozzie sticks or jalapeno peppers? Yeah, Mozzie sticks. Hock tots, you haven't had that.
And we thought we'd start him on some healthy American food, if there is such a thing.
Probably not.
Okay, we have to do it. We'll do hock tots.
Okay, let's see where I came out.
And back at Jeremy's house doing some last-minute electrical work.
Oh, perfect.
On the camper. We are in America, to be precise.
Yes.
Washington State, just south of Seattle.
Yeah.
We're working on some
Really big stuff.
big stuff.
Jeremy is looking to get some trickle charge into the camper when it's on the back of the ram. That is the job description at the moment. And we found that this is actually ignition triggered, so it turns on when the vehicle is on, turns off when the vehicle is off.
What's that?
Holy shit, those are big cables.
Heiner will be driving Jeremy's Tundra, and to power the fridge, well, he's decided to build a battery box.
And we're almost ready to drive anywhere.
Let's hunt your overlands again. Yeah. And that one, I forgot. I've actually got some. I've got some Baja Designs lights in here.
I will be helping Heiner with the driving of the Tundra now and again, but Gun and I are actually spending our time in the very, very big Dodge.
This vehicle dwarfs me. I mean, look at it. I'm not a small person. Well, I am a bit small, but it dwarfs me. Honestly, if you're struggling to find leg room in this, you're just not trying. I've loaded up with all my crap, so yeah. So, and I can
Play table tennis.
Yeah.
Right, I am a little bit worried about the, being such a big car, the communications in here. So I thought I'd give you one of these little UHF radios.
What?
This might work better. Hello, Gwen. Can you hear me? Gwen, can you hear me? Damn. She's out of range.
Radio check, driving on the right side of the road.
Correct.
Thanks for confirming.
We're going to head south to, it's about 22-minute drive. We're going to head south, get on Interstate 5. We're going to go to a Pacific Pride in a town called Pacific. So follow me to where we're going.
Well done, Jeremy. That set the tone for the camping trip.
Anything faster than this is a win.
So this is it, hey?
This is it. It's the reason why I came to America.
We have arrived at Andrew's favorite playground, Cabela's. Don't look now, but there he is. He's walking towards us. He's about to giggle or smile or do something about why he's so excited to be here.
We're here. It's taken 3 weeks. 4 weeks to get here. We're finally here. Of all the things we've done in Florida and Honolulu and everything, and in Seattle and Canada, who cares really? We're at Cabela's. And this, of course, is Heiner's very first trip to the United States of America and his first true introduction to American culture. I wonder how he's going to handle it.
Wow, this is huge. Look, there's a waterfall here. And a bear. There's probably guns in here as well. And a fish tank. This is insane. This is almost like a museum. I found a fox. Fox yet.
That is a brilliant fox.
Is it?
What do you think, hey? You think it's a no, calm down. You think it's a nice? It's a nice shop, isn't it? He wants to stay here. You want to stay here? I'm going to put you. This is the only outdoor shop I've been to in the world where actually, to get a proper view of it, I need a drone. Look at the sweeping towards the mountain, the sunset and everything, bears, stuff. What's he doing? He's cleaning the...
He's cleaning the head. You didn't know that if you're going to have dead animals in here, you have to clean them. Not a lot of stories you see that where he's...
Heiner must be going mad.
What do you think?
Oh, you also got a hat. Nice. Very stylish. Is it a bit big? Yeah, it's quite good actually. Seriously shady.
This is what I'm thinking. Looks even more like a flying saucer.
No, it's useless. You need to take something that's going to...
That's
great, actually nice. Prefer that one.
got to be a mirror. Boys are also vain.
That is a big hat.
That's a big hat.
We might need 2 hours.
I was saying that would they mind if we camp where we park the cars?
I think if you buy a tent here, you can actually use it in the store.
Fantastic.
There's enough room in the hallway. You could
and we could go fishing and
there's chairs and everything.
And shoot some animals.
We could.
Blue one in your size, but I think the red will look nice on you. We've totally lost Heiner.
Oh look, Heiner. Oh no, it's not him.
It is quite nice.
Nice hat. Definitely nice hat. But I said that 40 minutes ago.
with you. I've got so much camping equipment. I'm not a guy that needs more stuff. But I can't leave without buying something. So I bought a little hand warmer that I know. Remember, years and years and years ago, I had that exact same Zippo hand warmer. I have no idea where it went, how it disappeared. But and not that I even need a hand warmer that often, but you know.
I'm so glad we've got it on camera that you're a person that doesn't need things.
I don't need camping gear because I've got camping gear.
So now he qualifies.
No. It doesn't stop me from going and enjoying the
camera
shops.
stops.
No, I have no cameras, none. I'm
total need for constant cameras.
Yep.
It's like blood transfusion.
I'm glad you noticed. Where's the camera store? There's some good ones in Portland.
The one thing about road tripping through the USA that is always remarkable, always changing, and always spectacular, and that is the varying landscapes through which one drives. And it being spring, everything is turning green and glowing.
Oregon is the place where bridges are born. This is another one. Look at this.
There's one that moves sideways. A bridge.
Today's drive has been such fun. And we're winding it up. We still have about 2 hours to sunset, and we'll be at our campsite probably within the next 30 to 40 minutes. Got to fuel up for another quite long run tomorrow, not as long as today. But hey, we're deep in the Oregon, very close to the Oregon coast. One of my favorite parts of the US is the Oregon coast. Hopefully we're going to show a whole lot to you in the next few days. Howdy.
First time I've ever seen elk.
Yes, it's freezing out here.
This is Coos Bay in Oregon.
This is Jeremy's very, very nice little camper actually. And guess who's going to benefit from a nice warm cozy bed?
We can use this for rubbish if we want, and I'm going to take it out.
I'm always intrigued by overlanding in the USA. I mean, it is so different to, and I'm going to make the comparison between Australia and Africa, in that at no time on the drive today, and we weren't driving between major cities, were we more than 20 minutes away from shops where we could get absolutely everything we needed. And so it was a busy day getting to our destination, and our destination is, well, a sea of caravans, and this is actually quite a nice one because, well, they're spread apart. It's a beautiful area. It's on an estuary, so it's very pretty. This is not overlanding. There are electrical hookups throughout the campsite. So it makes me want to say, what is overlanding? Define overlanding. I heard the ridiculous thing the other day in this country. Somebody made the claim that to be an overlander, as if it's a badge of honor, you have to have traveled to at least 2 countries, across 2 border posts. And I thought when I heard that, what an absolute load of rubbish. Overlanding is anybody who is actually trying to go beyond this. If you go beyond this, and it doesn't matter what you drive, how you get there, and where you end up, but you go beyond having everything at your fingertips, and you cover distances to explore amazing places. To me, that is the definition of overlanding, and the difference between overlanding and camping. Thank you for listening to my sermon.
It's not a very fancy supper tonight. We've been driving all day and we're all starving, and we've got some kind of ready meals, but they're all frozen. So we're doing this.
So what I'm saying is that going overlanding in the US is more difficult than these other countries. This to me is absolutely typical of why, if you're going to build an overlander in North America, you have to have something that you can live in and out of.
Absolutely, it's cold. Look at us, I mean, we're sitting here.
And it's not winter.
No,
it's really bitter. So to enjoy an overland experience in anything but high temperatures, because the temperatures vary so much in North America, north to south, east to west, over the year, to be able to do any meaningful overlanding and remain reasonably comfortable without a lot of effort every time you set up camp and pack up camp, you need something that you can live in. Oh, hello. We're at a place. It's quite nice. It's too early. You're going out like that.
See what I have to put up with.
What are you going to be up to today, Jeremy?
We're going to look at a boat.
Almost.
To the right, to the right.
Handbrake?
Handbrake.
Oh, there we go.
Look, a pocket caravan. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is, I promise you, that is about the same size as my house.
You got to remind me, Andrew, to stay on the right.
I will.
On the right side of the road.
I will remind you whenever I see you wandering a little bit. Yesterday we had somebody driving properly. Today we'll have somebody filming properly.
Can't have everything at the same time.
Woo! See what I mean? We've got traffic left. Keep to the right.
Keep to the right. Keep to the right. Here we go.
Easy, Tiger.
It's almost like this thing's got a throttle controller set on aggressive.
Jeremy, the connoisseur of really good breakfasts, has pre-ordered our brekkie because we've got a bit of a time limit this morning, so that's why we've actually left the campsite in a bit of a hurry, a bit of time pressure, but he pre-ordered our breakfast, so we'll probably eat our breakfast on the run. But
and it's something very weird.
And it's something weird and special. Yes, no, it's called biscuits and gravy. Biscuits and gravy, that's what he's ordered for you. And I've had it before. I'll reserve my judgment until after you've had it. I'm having bacon and eggs.
Oh.
This isn't the fancy version, but it's pretty yummy anyway.
It looks like somebody did eat that before.
They just put it back in, just brought it back up.
We'll keep you, Heine.
Okay.
Please explain what you're eating.
This is country white gravy with sausage and a buttermilk biscuit. And together, obviously very good for you and tons of protein. Ignore the flour, the gluten, and all the other things.
But for people overseas who don't
I'm not quite sure yet.
Who think of biscuits as being cookies, it's more like a scone.
This is a scone.
It's a weird
It's
taste.
a weird taste.
It is a very weird taste. I can't decide yet if I like it or not.
If the truth be told, Gun and I find fast food eating in the US extremely difficult to stomach. There is fast food that's reasonably good, but most of it is very difficult to digest in the normal time that it takes to digest food. So what happens is we get hungry at all the wrong times during the day.
The gravy here is delicious, though.
Nice, huh? This gravy? So we have brown gravy too, which is like turkey gravy, but this is called country gravy.
Okay.
So any restaurant you go to, any diner, anywhere in the whole country, you can, closely, you can order biscuits and gravy either as a main menu or as a side.
But as an experience, I've really enjoyed it. It's something I've heard about for so long and I've really wanted to try. And
You really wanted to try that?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I did.
Honestly? Biscuits and gravy, honestly? Jeremy will never see this.
I've actually just been talking to the kids about it on family chat, and I'll show you. This is what Kate says. I don't remember eating that because I sent them a video. Stephanie has 2 green faces, and I said to Kate, Heine said something very similar on camera. Steph answered, "At least someone is honest," and I said, "Yep."
And what did you think of it?
I think
Jeremy won't see this.
I think it looked like somebody had eaten it before, and it tasted a little bit like it as well.
It was very sweet.
And sour at the same time, but not in a good Chinese way.
I've done it now. It's ticked off, and thankfully I never have to tick it off again.
So now for why we've come here in the first place. This then is Jeremy's heaven. The equivalent for me would be in a hangar full of tail draggers. What I'm about to see now, I have actually already seen in 100 photographs over the last year. And this is the first time I'm actually seeing it. This is Jeremy's new overlanding boat, which he's taking delivery of in a few months' time. Later in this video series, Jeremy and I take his current boat out on an overland trip. And that's why we're pulling it behind the Dodge. As far as we know, this is the first time an Egon DC hub has been used in a marine environment. And this boat will be used in saltwater conditions, and this is our test bed. We want to know how well it does in this environment, and of course it's absolutely ideal for this kind of complex wiring scenario, which is more complex than your average overlander or caravan.
Oh, really?
And looking at this, I can completely understand why people go bonkers over boats. I absolutely can, really. The kit and the potential of a machine like this is every bit as exciting as a four-wheel drive overland vehicle. More boating stuff in another episode.
Potatoes. You've got potatoes.
Yes, and I thought we can cook because I got the same ones, we can cook those with potatoes. To make them a bit sweet.
So Gunnar and I have decided that we're going to do a lot more cooking ourselves.
We're like naughty school children. We've broken free to buy some food. The kind of food that Americans, please understand, we're not knocking you. It's just a cultural thing. We eat differently to what you eat. And there's no right or wrong. It's just what you're used to. And so we've been eating American style food now for Andrew and I for 3 weeks, and we're just longing for home. And Heine has only been eating it for 2 days, and he's longing for home. So we've just stocked up on what we would normally eat at home, and that's what we're busy planning now.
Action.
The pond project continues, and we are on location in Coos Bay in Oregon, looking for goodies to add to the pond. And we always said we needed some gnomes. Oh, we do. Jeez, have you felt the weight of this thing?
Yep.
I think this lighthouse actually works. That's about half our luggage load.
Yes, it's a genuine lighthouse for all the ships sailing on our pond. You can't get more kitschy than that. In fact, it's so kitschy that it's no longer kitsch. You want to come home with it? Yes, she wants to come home with us. It's obvious. I cannot believe I'm buying this.
Especially as it's going to put us overweight and it's going to cost us a fortune at the airport.
I'll leave all my clothes behind. This is unrepeatable. The Oregon coast. Time now for Jeremy to take out his brand new camera and for the two of us to play cameras for a while.
Yeah, I don't know that stabilization's doing anything right now.
There's now 4K, 50 frames per second APS sensor. In a situation like this, experimenting with a camera, because you're actually doing a job and you're actually kind of, in a nice environment, not in your backyard just photographing leaves. It's actually a really nice way of getting to know a camera. I already know a lot about that camera that I didn't know 20 minutes ago. Well, there's good warnings here. What to do on the beach, and of course, driftwood, fireworks, stay back from edges, do not feel the wildlife, no camping, and no off-color jokes. Fine then, we'll just go somewhere else for our off-colour jokes.
What do you mean, the one that says no soliciting, thank you?
Yeah, the one that says cocktails. That too.
I have to come and see Yoda. He's perfect. Good time, will you? So, we're driving along the Smith River, which Jeremy has just told us is apparently the second cleanest river in the US. It starts in rock and ends in rock, apparently, and so it doesn't pick up algae. And the water's that glacial green, absolutely stunning.
As the horizon's shadow races us to our campsite, this looks very promising.
Well, after we drove for what feels like 4 days on end, that I can hardly remember because I was sick as a dog for most of the part of it, and we had camp spots. We are now on our first off-road section where I can actually drive on something that is not tarmac, which is nice. But we've come through some absolutely breathtaking country. We had probably 1,000-meter drops next to us with no barrier whatsoever next to us, which was interesting. But now we've got a scenery here. Oh my God. And I think we are about 2,000 meters high or something like that. It is...
This place is known by many names.
It is quite a scenery.
It's Oregon's high desert, also called the Great Sandy Desert, even though there is virtually no sand here at all. Also called the Rolling Sage Plain and the Artemisia Desert. It's also known as the Empty Quarter, the Great Wide Open, and Oregon's Cowboy Country. The shot of the day, arriving at the camp.
The money shot?
Yeah.
Yes, it's just, do you want to see? I can play it for you. I can play it for you now. I've just sent it to the girls because how can you not share it? I'm so proud of it.
It's absolutely stunning. Why do we bother with all these expensive cameras?
Well, I've been saying this for a while. I know it's not a popular opinion, but it is my opinion. All that money could be spent on a whole lot more iPhones. One looks like a youngster, and it looks like Mum with beautiful little ear tufts, and they're both looking down at me, looking up at them. Do you see them?
I do. There are 3 owls in that frame. They're the lesser spotted unknown American Oregonum frog. It's a rare treat to find oneself absolutely there's one light. That light in the distance is the only light around us. You get this incredible sense of isolation and remoteness and responsibility to keep yourself in, look after yourself because you're so far from help. I love that excitement. And the owls are still in the trees above us. And I think supper is ready.
It's raining. I'm glad to be in a nice camper. I do like trains, and I've often thought of all the countries in the world to go train spotting on a grand scale would be North America.
That is a really, really long train. I like trains.
So we were just talking about, I'm sleeping in the boat and I'm using it as almost like a little trailer to stay in, and we're carrying stuff with us, like all of our chairs and our esquis and stuff are in the boat. But I think if your destination is somewhere with water and that's what you want to go do, you kind of have to plan for your boat to go with you. So we've had to do that because we don't have a choice. So as long as you know you can get in and out somewhere, you can turn around and you're not going to beat it up and you've got spare tires and all these things, kind of like what you would do with a normal trailer overlanding. It's working. It's kind of funny because it's acting as a trailer for carrying things. It's also acting as my bedroll. But what's really exciting is at the end of the trek, we're going to actually put it on the lake and we're going to spend a couple of days doing some filming, and I think it'll all be worth it. But watching somebody pull a boat through the desert and parking it in the desert. We just parked a boat in the middle of a sage field on a dry lake bed, and we got some great pictures of it. But I think it's comical. I'm okay with that. Don't care what any of you think, because we need to get it to somewhere else, and I can't just leave it and pick it up later, and I can't just ship it somewhere. So we're towing a boat into the wild with us.
One of the advantages, though, of pulling such a big camper and a boat means that we have to stop for fuel regularly. And what I mean by advantage is that we get to see not the postcard America, the America that is, well, America. American America. Let me show you what I mean.
Wait, don't.
Oh, that's still good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Oh, you saved the day.
Oh, look what I found. You've been travelling with us all. I thought she's followed us.
In the White House.
We wondered where she went.
She was in the White House.
She's in the White House.
Seems like we've had a little squirrel or something come through here. And the tap is leaking.
Yeah. Tap is leaking.
This is a nice chill spot. Look at that. Look at the view from here.
Bloody hell, look at that. Are you any good at identifying animal tracks?
Nah, not really. But some I
It'll
can.
be perfect for this. What do you think of those?
A bear? Or something with claws? Small bear?
I'm thinking that it's a large dog. But probably too big for a coyote.
I don't think so. It's. I think. I haven't seen a lot of bears, but I think bear paws would be bigger.
Have you ever seen a bear?
I've seen a bear in the zoo.
In the zoo, okay.
I've never seen a bear alive somewhere.
So it was dead in the zoo?
No, animals in the zoo are generally not dead. At least not the ones they show you. They're just dead on the inside.
Yeah.
It's a great song, man.
I think a couple more minutes. I know. When you're on a
Jeremy, where are we this fine morning?
We are outside of Ellie, Nevada. I don't know if it's Ellie or Eli. We didn't ask. I think Eli would be with an I, but who knows. We're at the Cave Lake Recreation Area. It turns out there is no Cave Lake right now because the reservoir is empty. So we're camping up on the Elk Flat campground just above that. I think we're at 7,000 feet. People that are from this area are going to know that that's not probably the right number, but it's close. And we have a nice little campsite right off of the highway headed south towards Lake Powell. So we're in the juniper trees this morning, and it's really nice. After a pretty fantastic thunder and lightning storm last night and a lot of rain, we have really nice weather. I think it's 60 out, and we have bacon, so we love it.
Our route today will take us to Lake Powell, where we'll finally get to use the boat.
This is where I say ta-da to Gwyn for a night. Jeremy and I are going out onto Lake Powell.
I'm staying in the camper. Heiner has been sick the whole trip, so he's pushed off and is staying at a hotel in town where he can try and get better. And Andrew and Jeremy have gone off on the boat. I haven't got on the boat because the boat just kills my back, so not a good idea. So this is it. I'm alone in the camper on the edge of Lake Powell in Arizona. Does it feel weird? Yes, it definitely feels weird.
Jeremy and I will be going on an overland boating safari. If you have been watching our series of road trips across the United States, you're about to find out why we have towed this little boat halfway across the US.
All right, we off?
We have very basic provisions. We've got a fridge, a couple of chairs. I've got a little tent that I'll pitch on the bank somewhere. Jeremy will sleep in the area up front. It's actually designed for sleeping, but again, only suitable for one person. So I'm going to have my own little spot, and we've done this very basic. No, we're not going to make any fires. Obviously, there's no firewood, and we're not carrying firewood, so I'm not going to make a fire. But we're just going to have. It's 3 in the afternoon. We'll probably set camp at 6. And we're going to go exploring the remote shorelines of Lake Powell. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell some boating stories. Now, I'm not a boater. I stood sail lasers for a while and did quite a bit of yachting, but I also did some adventure boating in a boat that I helped build, as well as some incredible houseboat experiences on rivers in Africa. And I need to tell those stories again because they're amazing. But you know what it's like pitching up in the car park, and then this guy shows up.
You ready?
More than ready, mate.
All right, I will cast this line. We'll get out of the way.
For a good 2 years now, Jeremy has been sending me snapshots of his trips on Lake Powell, and it was one of the main reasons coming to the US at all this year.
So Navajo Canyon, I think we're gonna go take a look, see what we can see. So we've just passed, come around Antelope Point, and based on time, we're gonna go explore this. If I could zoom on here, I would. We're gonna go explore this canyon called Navajo Canyon, which is our first main canyon off of the main channel. And then we've got it actually mapped here for charts how it used to be. So we're gonna follow this up and see if we can't find ourselves a grotto or a nice spot to camp for the night. And just do some exploring. Should be really pretty in there. First search. Here we go.
Now we're going to look for a campsite for the night, and it's going to be quite tough. It could take a couple of hours easily. Find a beach where the place where we can safely moor the boat and get off, and a flat place where I can pitch my tent.
I think we've just found the end of the canyon. On the standard charts we have another 2 miles to go, but it looks like we are coming to the end of, with the water levels changing, we're at the end of the canyon. We're in about 10 feet of water, and that's it. That's as far as we go. We'll explore all the way to the end and see what's there, but this might be the end, so we turn around and find a beach.
Is that a beach right at the end of it?
It is a beach, but I bet you it's a mud flat to get there. It's not getting any deeper. I mean, this is, if it's 7 feet here, this is supposed to be 100 feet right here. 60 feet, 90 feet.
And how many feet is it in fact?
7. We're in 7 feet of water, where the standard Lake Powell chart has us at 90 feet.
What happens if we go straight in there and tie up? I can jump off the side because it looks sandy as opposed to muddy. That to me is the perfect campsite. In the shadow of that rock. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to aim for the dark bit on the sand, and then I'm going to spin the boat around, and I'll give a little bit of thrust backwards, and we'll drift right into the beach.
Nice move, Mr. James. It's like a landing in an airplane. Just when you and the wheels go and they settle on the ground. They don't hit the ground, they don't bump the ground. They settle on the ground. That was settling on the beach. Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
That's
man.
About a year in the planning. This.
What did you expect, and what is it? What are your thoughts?
It's pretty much what I expected because of all the photographs
Yeah.
and drone shots you sent me and things like that.
New to me as a Stabicraft 2050, and I am absolutely over the moon with this boat. Their slogan is this: Stabicraft, adventure with confidence. It's brilliant.
But the fact that we're here, and the fact that sailing through that cathedral of rock was breathtaking. You can get so close to it.
I think you can't explain the scale either until you've been. Scale is just, it's hard to get your head around. And we've taken the smallest little fork off the very first right hand that we could take.
Yeah.
And just this was, I think, 2 or 3 miles.
It's completely calm. Windstorm has died away. And it's still actually quite warm. I think I'm going to take my jersey off. It's a beautiful story there. I'm so glad the wind has died down. That's my tent for the night. Amazing. Wake up with that kind of view. I think I'll just stay here for an hour or so. Just look at it. Take it in. It occurred to me last night, though, that I'm on a very shallow island, and it's obvious that the vegetation, that water hasn't come here for several months, maybe a year or so, and quite a long time. But it did occur to me, the water wouldn't have to rise much for me to get flooded out. Normally in a situation like this, in a vehicle, in a four-wheel drive vehicle, never camp in a sleeping in a riverbed like this. Never do it. I have done it in the past, knowing the seasons, knowing when the wet season was, when, understanding the likelihood of flash floods and things like that, seasonal, etc. But I don't know that in this country. I'm relying on other people. So thinking, I wonder if the water level rose during the night. I have my answer.
One would not expect it to rise fast in a lake this size. But if I look closer, not only has the water risen, but it's still rising.
Welcome to story time. I'm camped on an island of sand on the Colorado River on one of the arms in Lake Powell, or on Lake Powell. And I've got here by small, compact motorboat called a Stabbycraft 1250. New Zealand aluminium boat owned by Jeremy James, and our expedition was actually to do some overlanding, but by boat. These areas in this river can only be accessed by boat. And if I think about my adventures with boating, I've had some amazing times actually. I actually started my own adventure career with it was about a 12-foot rowing boat, 4 friends. We launched it on a river in South Africa where I lived at the time, the Wilga River that flows into a dam called the Vaal Dam, which, not unlike Lake Powell, has many fingers, and a very long dam.
and we did an expedition 6 days and 6 nights. It was a 5 horsepower outboard motor. I was 17. It was day, night, day, night, day, night. And even once we stopped for a storm and actually had to make some protection for ourselves, we used the rubber dinghy, I seem to remember, to do that. And soon after that trip was completed, we thought, well, no, we can't stop here. We need a bigger boat. And so the 4 of us, we were given or bought for very little money a plug for a 21-foot Caprice yacht, sailing yacht. It had bilge keels, so 2 keels out the sides, so it was great for this kind of exploring because we wanted to go exploring in it, but we needed something with low draft. And the 4 of us got together and we built this, and I seem to remember it took about 4 years. My mates, some of them were at university, some were doing apprentices. I was an apprentice film editor at the time, and we would gather on weekends, work on the boat, smoke cigarettes, and every now and again, as is what I do, is I would go and I would document the building of the yacht and record its progress. And of course I did this on a Super 8 film. When finally we actually launched the boat, of course I took my Super 8 camera. But still, there was no sound with that film. And then when we, after sailing it for probably 2 years, my guess is, we decided to do the same trip up the rivers of the Val Dam, but this time in our boat called Longfellow. It was a wonderful experience. Here's an excerpt from that. Sorry about the quality, but it's Super 8. And that was probably about early 80s.
Well, here we are on the 2nd of April, exactly a year from Longfellow's maiden voyage. We've passed Fruita Eiland and are heading for Aranyaville. Should reach there sometime fairly late tonight, maybe 9 o'clock or so. And it's a wonderful evening. The wind's just blowing nicely, and I think we're going to be in for a great evening.
Agree, people.
Okay, go for it.
38. Hey, we could have been fucking standing here with the birds, eh? Yes! Woo! Here's something brand new.
Good morning. At the moment we're near Jimfishi and we're trying to make our way through a maze of banks of reeds after hitting a tree last night, and it seems to be a very difficult thing. We're scared of running aground.
And it was, of course, the start of my travel documentary filmmaking.
I'm now waiting on the banks to film Longfellow coming down the Vilka River. We're about 2 hours from Frankfurt, 5:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday. I'm just waiting for her to come around the corner on the river down there. Right, this is Friday, late on Friday, 5:20. We have turned back. We turned back around midday today. We got as far as about 65 kilometers from Villiers, but actually ran out of time. We're about to start up the motor, the wind's died down, and make our way to Pennant 9, where we'll spend the night and then leave for Denaceville tomorrow morning early.
During my Africa travels, I've on 2 occasions used boats for adventure. One was 2012.
What a fantastic thing to be standing on an island in the middle of the Chobe floodplain.
The Itsubisi houseboat on the Chobe River.
This is the equivalent of your Land Rover 6-seater game vehicle, except it's a boat.
And watching game by boat, by luxury boat, is wonderful. It is fantastic. Those of you that do tours in southern Africa, this kind of experience is marvellous, absolutely. I think nicer than a lodge. Notwithstanding my camera equipment scattered over the bed, this is the double room. In many respects nicer, because you're now, instead of having to get in a noisy car to go and see game, you're in a boat that moves very slowly. It's generally not very noisy. You get fed good food, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's not cheap, but it's absolutely wonderful. And the other one, last time, was with Jeremy. It was in 2018, and we took a houseboat on Lake Kariba. So what I'm really saying is that boating has its place in overlanding. I would never replace my four-wheel drive with a boat. I'm not a boating guy. But look what we've achieved. Look what we've managed to see. Look what we've managed to find. This place is beautiful. We're back on the water again, and we're discussing why the water level increased, because this morning, obviously having got up, saw that it had increased overnight, and then watched it for about 20 minutes. The level came up, but then it stopped. It stopped. Why did it stop? And why was it for such a short period of time that the water level rose? We don't know. It was obvious to us as we approached the main body of the lake again that there had been a vicious storm with debris floating on the water. But like most overlanding in the US, it wasn't long before we could
for coffee this morning?
Get ourselves a cup of coffee.
This is a fuel station and then also a place to get some grub on the way home. I wish the restaurant was open, we'd have breakfast, but all the way up the lake you can stop at a few different places. Dangling Rope is above us, and then all the way up to Bullfrog, that's 120 miles away. So we overnighted up in here, and then we're coming here, get a little provisions, and then headed back to the truck to meet Gwen. It's a nice spot. It's really pretty, and it's quiet right now. Nobody's here yet after the end of the spring, so I think summer's going to get really busy.
About a week ago in Coos Bay, Oregon, we visited a boat shop. Ate something.
It looks like somebody did eat that before.
And I'm glad to say now, 4 months later, he sent me some more drone shots. This time of his brand new Stabby.